Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my opinion. And India have won this Champions Trophy. This is their second ICC trophy within the span of a year. A great moment for the players, a great moment for the fans. And once again, Aditya joins us, his second guest appearance on this channel. I'm very happy that India won, as you would be. And how do you feel about the victory?
Yeah, hi everyone. Great day today. Always love an India win. Yeah, I think I expected it, to be honest. It was a tight game at the end. I think India had the batting depth to counter New Zealand's bowling, especially since they didn't have Matt Henry. I think that was a game right there. I don't know if you agree with me or not. Considering they didn't have Matt Henry, New Zealand did really well to fight back. I think their spinners did even with the part timers like Rachin Ravindra and Glenn Phillips, they did really well to sort of control the mid overs and get the crucial wickets. But in the end, it was always going to be an India win. We knew it.
And now that takes us on to what we said before the match, where we were talking about what if Hardik Pandya wasn't fit. Luckily, he was. So there were no changes from an Indian 11. For New Zealand, Matt Henry wasn't fit, so Nathan Smith took his place. And in the matches against Pakistan and against India, he's only bowled 2 overs and he's gone at above 10 over. I think they don't quite trust him yet in white ball cricket, and that's why we saw he went for runs. Against Pakistan, he was brought on fairly late on in the piece when the match was over. In this case, he was brought on earlier. But because he went for runs and they don't quite have the trust in him, they looked elsewhere. They haven't bowled Glenn Phillips for many overs this tournament. In this match, he bowled 5 overs. I think it's the most that he has bowled across the matches that they have played. So Matt Henry not being there, it did derail things from a bowling perspective in the second innings. I think you are right. And we talked about the importance of a second seamer. And what did I say? Hardik Pandya bowls a maximum of 5 overs in an innings, and he doesn't have too much of an impact. And we saw how he went today. I thought both the seamers bowled very poorly. But the way New Zealand were getting off to a start in Dubai, we have seen from this Indian team that it looks like the opposition is going well, and then they pick timely wickets, and that's what happened today. But how did you feel looking at the start when New Zealand, I think, won 45 without 57 without loss in quick time?
Yeah, do you mean New Zealand, right?
Yeah, in the first innings.
Yeah, listen, when I saw Rachin Ravindra smacking the balls everywhere to all parts of the ground, uh, I thought, all right, they're attacking the paces now, and the fact that for the first how many overs, the first 6 or 7 overs or so, there
The
was no
first
wicket,
8 overs, they got 57.
and they were going quite well, and it was Rachin Ravindra. Will Young was struggling, so I never thought he was going to be an issue, but when I saw Rachin Ravindra starting to go well, and the runs were flowing, you know, I started panicking a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I always knew it.
And we talked about the combinations required to win this match and against this opposition, where we'd said, and the trend still worked out because apart from Varun Chakravarti in that third group match, which bowler has taken 2 wickets or more than 2 wickets? Which spinner has taken more than 2 wickets at this venue? No one. We saw for both sides that 2 wickets was the maximum, and they kept the runs down. And that's why in the second innings as well, when New Zealand, after the first wicket fell, they were putting on some pressure. I think there was a phase where 50 deliveries, 3 for 19. At that point, I still thought India would win. It required some strike rotation with timely boundaries, and we saw that with the partnership between Akshar and Shreyas. Spinners came on for New Zealand. There were a couple of soft dismissals there. I thought Kuldeep Yadav put a good delivery to Rachin Ravindra. Then you got Will Young dismissed, and I think the same fashion that he was in the group match, Kane Williamson a very soft dismissal. And he didn't take the field in the second innings either because of injuries. Unfortunately, had a bit of an injury history of late. And I think they were 1.90 for 3. The run rate was slowing down. And when I talked about the fact that the spinners bowl with economy in the middle overs, we saw Tom Latham, who goes very well against spin, striking at less than 1 run per 2 balls, so strike rate of 50, and once again swept a full delivery, a very full delivery from Jadeja, the same way that he was dismissed in the previous match. I thought it was a case where, and I'll let you opine on this as well. I mentioned the Indian batting lineup would have an edge in the middle overs against spin where they wouldn't be bogged down. That was not the case with the New Zealand batsmen today, as after those 3 wickets fell, I think they played themselves into a bit of a hole, where even if they got that kick in the end because the seamers were incorrectly bowled, they got to an underpart total. What are your thoughts on that?
See, what I think about um, the Indian team compared to any of the other teams is that they're all technically sound, which means even in the middle overs against spin, they're not bogged down. They don't dry up the run rate, and they can get the singles and keep rotating strike, which is what we saw Shreyas Iyer today. He was brilliant today in doing that, and he's been doing that throughout the tournament, which is why I think India are so successful in ODI cricket because they've got those the way they train. You can tell that they're all technically sound and they know how to play playing spin and rotating strike against spin is in their practice. That's what they've been practicing. You can tell that they've been doing that. With New Zealand, I mean, you can't really blame New Zealand as well. They did their best to rotate, but
They
I
look
think
clueless against spin today. They look absolutely clueless
think
against spin.
that you see you see this with teams like New Zealand, England, Australia, even South Africa. They're a bit clueless when it comes to spin. They don't have the right technique to play spin. And when you're facing a team with 4 top class spinners, I mean, I know India's pace attack today wasn't really that strong. It was just Shami and Hardik bowled really poorly. But when you have 4 top class spinners, I think in any situation the opposition will find it really hard to score against you. Which, yeah, I think it was all India today. New Zealand could have.
I thought, and the reason why I thought New Zealand batting first was the best chance for them to win because we saw in the match against Australia, it was a slow burner. Today was a slow burner as well. And the spinners didn't. There's the one moment that they strike, and then life becomes difficult for the opposition. But generally, you think that the strike rotation is possible because it's slow, but is it the case where the spinners are running through you? No. I just felt that because of the inability to rotate strike, I expected them to struggle against Chakravarti, but they
Yeah,
also couldn't rotate the strike against the others. And you look at someone like an Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja, they went to just above 3 over between them, and Chakravarti was the most expensive bowler out of the spinners. So I didn't expect them to struggle as much against the others. They did do that, and in the middle overs they dug themselves into a hole. Meaning even if they did get some quick runs, 79 in the last 10, and yet you've only got 251.
I feel like also, I mean, Varun has been a star for India. I would even go as far as to say that he would be in contention for man of the series for me, but man of the tournament for me because of the impact that he's created with the ball. But I don't know if you agree with me, but from a New Zealand perspective, right, especially Darryl Mitchell today, bowlers like Akshar and Jaddu, they don't really have that many variations. They're quite predictable in terms of their line and length and what they're going to bowl. So there was no excuse for just playing dot balls. And how much did he get today? He
I
got
think 63 of 101,
101
and
balls. So there was no.
Ben Phillips was slowly starting to get some boundaries. Then he was dismissed, but then you got Tom Latham 14 of 30. I think that was the partnership, that Mitchell and Tom Latham partnership, that doomed them.
Yeah. So overall, I think it's just India's batting depth combined with their top class spinners and the fact that New Zealand's bowling attack today wasn't really that strong. They tried their best, but it wasn't that strong, was it?
And I think in the last spot we've seen that when it comes to a recovery, you've got to. I know it's tough it's tough while you're there because you think we've got batting down to 8, but would you want now? Michael Bracewell walked out later and scored a good half century, but would you want Bracewell and Santner to walk out earlier? And also Phillips to walk out earlier? Ideally, no. So they'd wanted the top 5 to set things up and then the others to do what they do because they don't have power hitters. Michael Bracewell capitalized on the way the seam was bowled, but is he a power hitter? No. And this is where if you're consolidating, you've got to keep the required phase progression at the venue in mind. You saw Darren Mitchell 63 of 100, 63 of 101, scores 3 boundaries, then is dismissed. And at that point in time, you have to get a lot in the last 10 to get even a close to par score. New Zealand got 79 in the last 10 in this situation, and you've got the start that they got. That's quick runs, in over 100 runs of quick runs. And yet, because of that middle overs phase, they only got to 251. And I think let's go to India as well with how well they did. I don't know why Akshar Patel didn't bowl out. If he had bowled out, they would have got at least 20 runs less.
Yeah, I remember we were watching the match and you were screaming at the TV when Hardik Pandya bowl and Shami came onto bowl. So yeah, I don't know why when spin was working. I don't know why Rohit chose to go to turn to Shami and Hardik. But yeah, as you
And I
said,
hope now, sorry to interrupting you, can continue after I say this, and I hope now, when I've all this time in my videos, when I've been saying Hardik Pandya, he's a batsman, he's not an all-rounder based on what we've seen in the last while, I hope now that has become clear.
Yeah, to be honest, I get that now. I can't lie. I'm not gonna lie. Today I saw Hardik bowling and it was just poor. But yeah, they could have restricted New Zealand to 230, even 220, as you said. But yeah, fact is, India have won now. Let's talk a bit about India's batting. How do you think it went out? How do you think? Do you notice today Rohit played a long innings? Finally, didn't just
I
get
was
the
very happy for him. I think he got the bowling up front to take the task. I've said this many times. Jameson, not a death bowler. They relied on what he did up front, and he went for a few runs up front because he wore that one economic over at the end. It seems as if that he didn't go for too many runs. Woolrock, inexperienced, went for runs in the semi-final, went for runs today. And Nathan Smith, they don't trust him. Glenn Phillips, they're not bowling too often, and so I thought because of the nature of the surface and with the way their bowlers use the conditions, credit to them. After 100 run stand, 100 without loss, and you're bringing things against this Indian batting lineup. I know we're talking about India, but you're bringing things this close. You've got to give them credit there. But now coming back to India, Rohit Sharma took the seamers to task. Shubman Gill was playing a second fiddle role. It's very good to watch Rohit Sharma play a long innings because I think whenever he's dismissed, you think, well, you've given your team a start. But from now is the point where you dig in. I think there should be a disassociation between the power play and what comes after that. If you score a 40 on the power play and then you're dismissed, however good that 40, it provides an advantage for India with the way they're looking to set things up, of course, especially batting to number 8. However, we all want to see an experienced player like Rohit Sharma continue as well. I wanted him to get a century today, and unfortunately, it was a bit of a rush of blood. I didn't expect a player like him who's played for so many years to be dismissed in that fashion. In truth, you're running down the wicket because there's been a streak of dot balls and you're getting stumped. What did you think about that?
See, I think his obviously was really important. I think if it wasn't for his knock, India would have struggled because Virat Kohli's struggles against spin continues. He's good against these part timers like Glenn Maxwell and stuff like that, but them spinners like that.
Well,
But
and Bracewell's not much of a frontline bowler either, is he? So you can say
he,
he's slightly more. He's not a. He's between a part timer and a frontline bowler.
yeah, when you get out LBW to a part timer, you just know that you got stuff to work on when playing spin. But yeah, as given that, I think Rohit's knock was really important. He needed to get a big one today. He needed to stay in more than getting a big one. It's not about him getting a century or anything in this match. It's about him staying in for 20 overs, and he did that. He did his job really well. And Shreyas is very dependable. I think he's a really mature player, and his ability to play spin is just no one's going to doubt that. And he's improved. He's improved so much as a cricketer. I think the way he batted today was class. You could trust him. He looked assured that we knew that he was gonna carry the team through. He did get out, but I think his knock was really important.
And all the wickets that were dismissed, and yeah, gifted them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Would any wicket? People say, "Wow, what a catch from Glenn Phillips." Why are you giving him that chance? Shubman Gill was relying on fate to take it over his head, and I
So,
didn't understand why he looked to give him that opportunity.
yeah. But that you can argue that Shubman Gill was just trying to take advantage of the situation. All the fielders were up and trying to chip it over the fielder, which I kind of understand that.
Because
But
I think the cover, sorry, the cover field was out. The mid on, so the mid off was in. So
Glenn,
instead of playing it there,
yeah, Glenn Phillips was in, so he was trying to get it over him, which made sense, and the execution wasn't right in the end. Which I mean, I wouldn't really blame him for that, but no excuse. Virat Kohli, Akshar Patel getting out like that. I mean, that was a terrible shot. No need to play that. But yeah, and it just shows India's batting depth. Even when you had 30 runs to get at the end, run a ball, and it was kind of tight because they were bowling well. When you have someone like KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya batting in that situation, you're not going to be tensed up. And if you're in the Indian dressing room and you got Hardik and KL batting, you're not going to be tensed up. They're going to finish the job for you. So both very good players, and KL Rahul, he's not going to get out playing stupid shots. Same with Hardik, and you got Jadeja to come as well. So yeah, the batting depth helped in this game, along with the fact that I mean the fact that the New Zealand batsmen sort of slowed down in the middle overs, and yeah, that's the reason why the India's batting depth was the main reason today that they won.
I'll say one thing about New Zealand before we get back to India and probably wrap up from there. Where I mentioned in my preview video, there's one bowler who they had a second chance to bring him in. They didn't do it. They went for experience, and they don't have the experience, and they paid the price. How did they not bring in Adam Milne when he can bowl at the start and can bowl at the end? And you're going with both Nathan Smith and Jacob Duffy. If you play against all this Pakistan and Bangladesh, and when you bowl the spinners, they play an innings worth of dot balls across 2 matches, it seems as if things are going okay. I've kept saying with the inexperience in the seam attack, if Matt Henry doesn't strike up front, the spinners can bowl economically. They bowled economically today, but in the end, could they relied on the seamers to win them the match, I felt, to strike up front, and that didn't happen. Why, when you got an experienced bowler like Adam Milne, you don't pick him? I don't know the conversations that would have happened between them. But what are your thoughts on we all saw the inexperience in New Zealand seam attack. What are your thoughts on
that? Of course, obviously, I know Adam Milne's been around for a while, and Nathan Smith just really entered the scene for New Zealand. And I mean, I don't have too much knowledge of Nathan Smith or what he does, or I've never really seen him play like that before. But yeah, you got when you're looking for a replacement, Matt Henry, uh, for a bowler, the the smartest thing, the logical choice would be to bring in Adam Milne, especially when you know that your spinners are not really they're not
wicket
deadly.
taking? They're going to be economically, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. And another thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think about New Zealand winning the toss and choosing to bat first?
I think it's good. I think it's a correct decision. Because if India had scored that 250, New Zealand, well, and come back to it, of course, I don't think 250 would have been enough. I think that 280, we both said it, 280 was the required score. And when people would have been nervous, certainly when the score was going to around 6 runs per over, 120 off that many deliveries, you thought, if India were the bowling side, New Zealand were the batting side, we would say New Zealand are favourites, and we'd be just holding on to any superstition that we could hold on to. Why, in the other way around, is it okay? New Zealand knocking on the door. It's because when it's a team that and as far as the context is concerned, they didn't win a trophy for a decade, and then it's always when it comes to winning, they really want to secure it, especially from a fan's point of view. When it comes to winning something, there's such an elation that comes with it when you think about winning something. And that's why I feel there's a fear from the outside that if India were in a situation that you'd say another team, if the roles are reversed, you'd say the other team is going to win. I know I'm digressing a bit here, but when you said, what do you think of New Zealand's decision to bat first, I thought it was the correct decision. The problem is the middle overs slowing down. They didn't have, I think that's where they lost the match. And then not picking a bowler like Adam Milne, where if he had played ahead of Matt Henry, you could have had some hope. Instead, you're picking a guy who you're bowling 2 overs. He's not bowling more than 2 overs. Glenn Phillips has bowled 5 overs. I think it's the most that he has bowled in this tournament. And you're going with 4 bowlers and seeing how you can manage. And one of those bowlers struggles at the death. So how are you going to beat an Indian side when you've with the bats until number 8 when you've got 30 runs less than the winning score?
Yeah, true. And, the 250 was never going to be enough. Like, the fact that the game came this close was just a show of how well New Zealand actually, with the bowlers that they had, they never gave up. I feel like any other team, right? Any other team would have just given up and they would have just let the game, lost the game there and then. So, yeah, with the spinners they had with their limitations, they actually used it well and bowled to their fields and bowled pretty tight lines. So, credit to them.
They are the best strategical team in my view in the world. I've said this before as well. I think India is the best team in the world, the best strategic team. I think that is New Zealand. They establish correct plans for the opposition. The field setting, I feel, is one of the best when it comes to New Zealand. They use their resources. That's why they beat South Africa in the semi-final, and they came up against a very good team today. I thought a team that deserved to win today. And if anything you'd like to add, you were going to say something.
Yeah, the fielding is just phenomenal. They let nothing through the gap. Put their body on the line, flying around everywhere. Glenn Phillips took another stunning catch today. There were some moments there. I think that drop off Shreyas Iyer was a big moment in the game. That was pressure there.
Even though they got him out after that, I feel the moment the score, as you said, it reduced from where it was. I thought that psychologically India just gained the ascendancy from there. Although Rahul said that he was very nervous, but at the same time, if you're a bowling side defending less than 50, when you've got a Jadeja to come, then you may feel that.
Some big moments in the game, but overall, India dominated. And yeah, clear that they were always going to win. I think we both knew that they were going to win from the start.
And another thing, no one's retiring, which is along with winning the trophy, is the greatest news.
Virat Kohli and Rohit seemed a bit glum at the end there. I mean, we've heard obviously.
I thought Kohli was going to retire. You continue. I thought he was going to retire.
That would be my last day watching cricket as an Indian fan, to be honest, because what's cricket without Virat Kohli? I mean, like, he's the face of cricket, almost bigger than the game at the moment. So, yeah.
So anyway, India won after 2013 when we were, I think, in year 5. India have won 12 years later the same tournament. I know favourites of yours is MS Dhoni. We saw him lift the trophy then. Rohit Sharma has lifted the trophy now. And so it was a great day for fans of Indian cricket and the players themselves, most importantly. They've deserved trophies of the way they've played over the last couple of years, and I'm very happy for them. And long may it continue with the same team, especially World Cup 2027. Win that, and this team would have won everything that they used to win. So that's on that. Anything else to add?
Yeah, nothing else. Really want to see this exact same team, similar bunch of players, go again in the 2027 World Cup and hopefully lift that as well as one last goodbye for Virat Kohli and Rohit. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's on that. An Indian win, and let's see what happens in the tournaments to follow. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You share the video for friends around, but this is my opinion.